everybody, a very warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage. We are carrying on the Puma today. Phase 2 continues, and obviously we're working on the driver's side seal. Now initially I thought I'd do the back half first, that's the worst bit underneath the quarter panel, and then I started looking along the seal and I sort of thought that don't look too good, that don't look too good. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll look at the front half of the seal first, in front of the seatbelt mount, and maybe tackle that bit first. Well, the job has grown exponentially, if that's the right word, and yeah, it's not good. I mean, yeah, you'll see in the video in a minute. Let's crack on and get some work done. Right, I've got the rear seat out, as you can probably see there. It's just held in with 2 bolts on these hinges down here, 2 each side. That backrest just comes out in one go, and the base comes out in one go. It's just held in with a clip on the middle tang here. I think you can see that in the camera. No, you can't. Hang on. Let me tilt you down. There's a tang just in the, you can just see it in the corner of the shot there. Hang on. Just here. You have to unclip it from, and then there's 2 holes. The clips, one here and one over there, that you have to unclip it from. And that unclips the bottom of the seat, so that's pretty easy. I've done that off camera. Next thing I've got to do is get this quarter panel trim off. Obviously I want to get this off so we can see inside, see exactly what we're dealing with. It's held on with a series of clips which years ago I replaced with Ford Galaxy clips, because the original ones always come unclipped all the time, and I know I'm going to have probably a bit of a job getting them off again now, because the Galaxy clips are mega strong. So I'm going to grab a trim tool and we'll see if we can get this quarter panel trim off, and hopefully be able to get inside and see both sides of where all this corrosion is. This isn't the biggest of cars in the back, so bear with. So we've got a series of clips down here which hold the carpet onto the trim. They're easy, and that reveals, looks like an 8mm bolt there, bolts that in. I need to have a look underneath the back of here, because I think there's another 8mm bolt under there. Yes, there is. So it holds in the parcel shelf support as well. All comes out as one go. There's another clip just down here. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. That should just pop off fairly easily. Got a trim tool, so it makes things a little bit easier. I need to grab an 8mm spanner, or socket I should say. Pop this cover off while we're here. And then I've taken off quite a lot of this. Yeah, there's 2 8mm at the very back here, and you have to disconnect the interior boot light as well, which obviously I've just done twists. Let me grab an 8mm, we'll buzz those out, and I think the rest of it is just clips then. I didn't realise in here, looking at it, how dirty the headliner is. Pretty manky, to be honest with you. It might need a clean of some description. I'm not sure I'm going to do that yet, but let's get it back on the road first of all. Worry about that bit first, and before we start cleaning and everything else. The seat belt is able to come out the back of this trim because there's a gap there. This rear seat belt is going to have to be unbolted underneath. Once we get the trim loose, we can get to the Torx bolt underneath there, because that does actually go through the trim. And the only other way we could do that is if we don't take the quarter panel trim right out of the car and we just fold it round into the boot area. That might be easier. We'll see. Might need to get that out of the way anyway. It's only 1 bolt, so right, I'm going to say grab an 8mm and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, start off around the back here. We'll get these 2 8mm undone from under here, and I can use the little boot light under here to see where they are. Quite handy. He says. There it is. One just there at the very back. One a little bit further along. In there. Should be the only 2 at the back here. Yep, that's loose now. I'm going to take the bulb out of this boot light because I want it to run my battery flat, so I'll put that down there for now. can get quite hot, those little bulbs. So right, we've got, I think there's one. Did I just do that one? Yeah, I did. Right, there's one down here. Love that electric ratchet, it's so good. Right, that releases all of that, and then in theory, I think the rest of it is on clips, which is going to be, as I say, a little bit troublesome because I'm replacing with full Galaxy clips, which are really strong. Got that one out, that's good. Got that one out, there we go. We're moving. Now there's some in the middle, I'm assuming, which is what's holding it. Let's get a torch and have a look before I just pull it. Oh, it lifts up in the air, that's what it is. It's got like a hook that hooks over the top. There you go, you said it go twang. There you go. Twang. There you go, there's one of the clips. There's the other one. Don't lose them. And look, a seat belt, and that reveals our bolt for our seat belt, which I'll take out. Then we'll get this quarter panel trim right out of the way. Right. Have I got the right size? Yep, that'll do. Quite tight because it's a seatbelt bolt, so. Come on, ratchet. So this has been out for a long while. Have to do it by hand. Electric ratchet's not having it till we get it a bit looser. God, blimey. Proper in there, this is. Got there eventually. Right, that should thread all through now to release our quarter panel trim all the way out. Like that. There we go. Okay, with that out of the way, the Puma has got a unique speaker box in the quarter panels which I need to unbolt, which is held in with 1, 2, 3 looks like 3 10mm at the top and a couple of clips at the bottom. Let me grab a 10mm and we'll get that out, and then we can see right through the quarter panel into where I've cut the seal out. You can actually see inside the quarter panel here where the horn is for the alarm, which is weird. Might have put it in the back, I don't know. There we go. I suppose it's to drown out the burglars when they're in the car, make them get out. Let's have a look underneath here, see what we've got holding this. Pretty sure it's just a clip. Yeah, it is. It's just a clip. Big plastic clip. I've unplugged the speaker, that should just lift out now, like that. could be a perfect opportunity for a speaker upgrade. What do you reckon? Right, now with that out, so we've got this sound deadening bit of foam here, which we're going to have to pull out because I don't want to set that alight. In fact, I'll just fold it back like that for now, but we can see the inner arch and I can see daylight through there, so that's not good. But we knew that it was going to be like that, so at least now we can get to both sides of the rust on the seal and we can start looking at where I've got to cut out and whatever else. And the only thing I have got to do extra is I want to lift this carpet up on this side and get a bungee cord or whatever and hold it up in the air out of the way, because then we can see what's going on with the floor then. So let me do that and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, with the carpet lifted up and pulled out the way, we can see the actual floor itself. Now there's two main areas by the looks of it of rot in the actual floor. The front section up there is absolutely fine. It's still all sealed all the way along the edge there, so that looks good to me. It's a bit dirty, but it's actually still alright. And you can see that from this side too. When you look at it, it looks like it's only sort of surface rust on this side, so I think we're okay there. I'm going to do a bit more investigation up this front corner because there is a little bit of corrosion just here, but that's on the outer mainly, so we'll obviously have to sort that out. But these two areas here are the main, sorry, trying to get little bit lines on the screen. These are the two areas mainly that I've got to look at, remake a bit of the floor there and a little bit just there. It's not too bad. I think the next step's going to be, I'll get the grinder in here with the wire brush, clean off all this sealer, see how far it goes, and then obviously we know what we're working with then. And then probably what we'll have to do then is cut this out a piece off, work out where I'm going to cut this, and then that will give us access to repair the inner on the floor there. So I'm going to give this a clean up with the grinder and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, after much drilling, grinding, chiseling, whacking with an hammer, generally getting frustrated, have a guess what I found? Yeah, you're right, more rust. So if you look inside here, this front section is not, I'm going to get bars on the screen, is not as clean as I thought, and it's due to the bit under here, which is part of the chassis, which is all, which I've ground back slightly, which is all rotted all the way around the edge, and it's rotted through the floor. So I think what I'm going to have to do is drill out all the spot welds around that, get that piece off, straighten it all up because it is still solid in most places, repair the bits on it that aren't, and then that will allow me access to the bit of floor underneath that's rotted due to that rotting. I can only imagine it's probably 17, no, not that old, not that young, 19-year-old me probably jacking the car up on that chassis piece, not realising that it was actually crushing the floor. So I've only got myself to blame for this one, I think. That, and obviously garage is changing tyres and things, I assume. But yeah, it's not ideal. You can see there's a hole in that corner there. There's a hole there on that end. So looks like I've got quite a lot more panel work and stripping to get off before we can actually start rebuilding anything, which is a bit of a pain. You can see on this side of the floor as well, obviously this is all going to need to be remade. Luckily the bit underneath this reinforcing bar is all right. I've cleaned that up on the top of it, and needs the edge remaking, so I can cut that along that edge and weld a piece in, whereas this bit obviously goes into the flat part of the floor itself, so I'm going to need to obviously cut that all out back a little way, and it's obviously just a simple bend to put a new piece of steel in there. So it's not, that bit's not too difficult. The floor is a bit of up and down, make it to the right shape obviously. This bit with all these ins and outs, I'm kind of debating at the moment whether I should just cut it right the way along this flat edge up here and just put a flat piece in all the way down, drill all the holes back in it again. I mean, I probably won't worry too much about getting this flared edge on this one. These have not got flared edges, they're just holes. So I could cut all those holes back in again, so they're all still there and how they should be, but it'll just be a flat panel rather than having these slightly raised shapes in it, which I know isn't original, but obviously it's going to be really difficult for me to try and make those on the bench in a vise, and obviously they've all been pressed. I mean, I'd like to keep it there really, but I'm on the fence about it at the moment, because I think I might be making hard work for myself trying to join it and go up and go down and round, whereas if I just go right along the top underneath here, I don't want to obviously get rid of this top bit because it bends out and then round, so I want to keep that. If I cut it along this top edge all the way along to the seatbelt mount, come down the side of the seatbelt mount, I want to keep that there because that's all intact and that's all pretty solid as far as I can tell anyway at the moment. Probably change in about half hour, but still. And I'm wondering whether I could just cut in a square piece of steel right the way along, and that would be then my inner seal, which would be really solid, and obviously no one's really going to see it. It's going to be behind the carpet on the inside, and obviously inside the seal on this side. So I'm kind of wondering whether I should do that at the moment, but I need to carry on grinding and cutting and stripping down first to see exactly what we're dealing with, because it's growing and growing and growing at the moment, which is not ideal. Right, I think the decision has been made. I'm going to cut, as I said, along this top edge under here, above all these raised bits. Now I know these raised bits give it a little bit of strength, but I don't think it's going to make much difference until once it's all back together again. I need access to the edge of this floor to be able to get this piece out underneath here, which means I need this bit removed, because otherwise I can't get between the rusty bit of floor and that reinforcing bit in there. I'm trying to drill out the spot welds inside there, as you can see, which is proving quite difficult. It's quite strong bit of stuff, that. So, and obviously the chassis numbers in there as well, so I need to obviously protect that. Luckily that bit of floor is okay and it's not rotten, that bit, so we can keep the original chassis number. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up to this seatbelt mount. I want to try and keep that intact if I can. It's not rusty all the way around it, apart from this very bottom edge, which is a little bit rusty, so I'm going to hit that with a belt saw and see what it comes up like. I'm going to cut it down here. I'm going to take these clips out that hold the wiring in. I'm going to go right across up to here, and then maybe cut it around this shape. There's a little funny shape inside there. I'll cut it around that shape, and then that will give me obviously a template to make the new bit up, but it'll also allow me to use this piece. Once I've made the new piece up the same shape, I can draw on or where all the holes are and cut them all out the same, so it'll look exactly the same, apart from it won't have these raised bits in, and it possibly won't have this flange bit for that, but that really doesn't do anything anyway. As long as the hole's there and it looks similar, I ain't too worried. It's never going to be seen, so as long as it's strong, which is obviously the main thing, then we should be okay. So that is the plan. I think I'm just going to take a bit of time getting these clips out so I don't break them, and go from there. Right, sit rep, dead. There are a lot of holes, as you can see by that light, in this car. If I shine that up there like that, you can see them all. I've had to take off this reinforcing panel and cut it at the front under here. You can see up there, I'll cut it there, at the front there. And all this is obviously underneath it, and what I've had to do to get that off because it was rotten underneath. Now the chassis number is stamped in the floor here, so we can't be cutting that out. So basically what I've got to do, I think, is I'm going to cut this section out along here. Obviously the front's already loose, so I just need to cut along this back edge and probably follow that shape, and then back down this side here. Sorry, the light's giving it glare in it. And then come along here, and I need to go up this side of the chassis number and round this bit of rust here that goes underneath this reinforcer. We'll have to weld that from underneath, so I want to take this whole thing out. Going along, this needs a new piece of floor, carrying probably all the way through really, up to here. Now there it actually stops because there's a reinforcer here for where the seat mounts onto, and that is absolutely rock solid and it's thicker steel. So I've cleaned all that up, I put a little bit of rust converter on it. I need to put a little bit of extra floor on the edge of that on top of it, but it does actually end there. That is where it's supposed to end, on that bit. And then the new outer piece of the seal will come down and meet this. I've cut that off in one piece, as you can see, so hopefully I can make a nice template out of it. So yeah, I'm just kind of gathering my thoughts really of what I'm going to do next, because there is some rust inside there. Hopefully you can see that. Hang on. There we go. And that has actually gone through, and that's behind this front reinforcing panel, which is all right. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is, when I cut this floor out, I'll be able to get to that from the inside. If I cut along here, take this cut that I've done already further along and down, I'll be able to put this piece in. Well, I'll make it onto that long panel that I've just showed you and cut off. I'll add it onto that, and I'll weld this piece obviously from the inside and down. And before we put that piece in, I'll make this new bit of floor so that it goes down and meets it, and we'll have to weld that. That'll be spot welded or whatever, plug welded from the outside. So that should all work okay, and I shouldn't have to take that out of reinforcing panels if I can help it, because that is quite a big lumpy panel, that, and I don't really want to be taking that off. So that's where I'm at the moment. Very, very time consuming this is, and possibly one of the worst cars I've ever done for rust. The MX-5 was bad, but this one's, yeah, taking the biscuit a little bit. So I'm going to just gather my thoughts and work out where I'm going to cut next, and I'll come back to you when I've got a bit more progress. Right, I think I'm at the stage now up to this point on the car where that seatbelt mount is, which is strong. This front section, apart from this little bit on this inner seal which I've got to cut out, I've cut everything else out that I need to cut out that's rusty, and I've managed to cut most of it out in big panels, so I can remake all that and use it as a template once it's all hammered flat again and I've got it sort of in some sort of shape it should be in. I've given this a little dress up with a hammer and dolly, just straighten up this edge. As you can see, I've cut out that little back section there now too. So now it's a case of cleaning all the edges up, I guess. And start possibly looking at making panels. I want to cut that last bit of inner seal out there first, so I can then probably tack that, either tack it back on or tape it back onto the end of there, so I can make a template and make it all in one. Because obviously the least joins the better as far as strimp's concerned, you know. So just need to cut that little extra bit out on the inside of there, and then we might actually be starting to put a little bit of metal back in again, which would be nice, just so I can sort of see certain things progress. I'm going to reuse that reinforcer. This is made of a pretty lumpy bit of steel, this, although it looks horrendous. I'm going to straighten it all up, give it a good old clean up inside and out and give it some rust preserver. And I'm going to replace this corner where it's gone rusty, and we'll probably reuse that because it isn't, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just bent. So obviously that's just say from jacking up previously and stuff like that, so it shouldn't have been really jacked up on that, but we can reuse that. So, and I've straightened up the bit inside there. You can see if I go underneath that bit there, I've straightened back up again, so it's the right shape again now. That needs to match that as well, so I need to straighten that end of it back up again to match it. But yeah, I know it doesn't possibly look like I've done much, but it's pretty time consuming doing all this and cutting it in the right places and obviously getting it right. So I'm just taking my time and sort of doing it the best possible way I can. So there we go. Right, I'm going to have a ponder again and see what I'm going to do next, and I'll come back to you when I've got more of an idea. Right, I think we are now at the stage in front of this seatbelt mount, at least. Everything is cut out as far as all the rock's concerned. I've cut that extra bit out of the front there, as you can see. And I'm left with what can only be described as a pile of rust that I've got to try and make a template out of. So I'm just going to try and show you. This is the first panel I'm going to make. And it's in 3 bits at the moment as I've cut it out. But I'm actually going to try and make it in 1 if I can. Let me turn that light away so you don't get so much glare. So, I'm just trying to work this out in my head which way around this went. That would have gone that way. No, that's part of the inner sill. Ignore that bit. So this bit here is basically from there up to there on the floor only. That is the floor section only. So it needs to obviously make all those shapes. It needs to fold down on a right angle on the end to then drop down on the side here for the inner seal to then meet to obviously weld onto. So I think that's going to be where I'm going to start, because obviously I need to work my way back now from the floor back out again. So as I say, I didn't think, stupid me, that the front section of this repair was going to be as hard as this rear quarter section under here, but it has proven to be as bad, if not worse, as far as how much I've got to cut out and remake. So it's going to be a bit challenging, but we'll get there. So yeah, I'm going to have a go. I'm going to get my sheet of steel out here now. I've got a new sheet of steel. I'm going to have a little draw up on that and see if I can make up a template, something like that, to go back in that floor. Right, I've decided to change tack slightly. I've cut that piece out of the panel, which sits normally up here, because it's got quite a deep curve in it, and it's very difficult to obviously cut that and shape it in one piece. So as you can see, I've marked out here this piece and this piece, and I've flattened them out, and this line at the bottom is where the lip is going to fold down. So that's not a cut line, that's just to show where I've got to bend it. So I think next thing I'm going to do is cut this out basically and see how well it fits, and then we can start getting pieces sort of tacked in and whatever else, and then I can try and make that bit up with the curve in it, so then try and match it to that curve in there, because it's quite, if you look at that piece there, it's quite a pronounced curve down there, so it's going to be quite difficult to make if it was all part of that original strip that runs right the way along the front. So if we can get that piece tacked in all the way along the front here, that'll give a bit of strength back to the floor, and it'll also give me a good template in there to make that other piece up. So I'm going to get this cut out and we'll see what it fits like. Right, now we've got this panel cut out, we need to put this bend in it now. I haven't got a sheet metal brake, so I've had pretty good luck in the past by using 2 pieces of angle iron and a vise and a couple of pairs of mole whips. So basically this is cool. What's the odds of that? That bit is pretty much exactly the length of my bits of angle, so that's quite good. So I'm going to clamp that in on the line, best I can get it, which will obviously then clamp it in the jaws of those bits of angle. It's so much easier if I had a sheet metal brake, but I haven't got one, so this is what I did before when I was doing the Reliant chassis. It worked quite well. So you clamp that in there like that, that's on that line pretty much all the way along. get a couple of pairs of mole grips, clamp them on the ends so that the ends can't spray out. And then basically bend it. Bend it like Beckham. It might take a little bit of I think before thinking about it I used another piece of angle and a hammer and I hit it over with that, but I haven't got another piece of angle anymore because I used it on something else. But I have got this rather big bit of bar. I think this might be from my old mate Dan and the tow bar of his three-wheel van, possibly. So yeah, it's pretty tough stuff this, so obviously you need to manoeuvre it as best you can. It's quite, I'm trying to remember how I did it now. Once you get it going, it's not so bad. It's going. Probably imagine I'm putting quite a lot of welly behind this. Now it's starting to bend. I'll just use the hammer and a bit of metal a bit more. Should be somewhere near it, hopefully. And because I've not been hitting the metal directly, it's not all warped. So it's quite flat still, which is good. Last little bit over the back edge down. Right, let's have a look at that. Look at that. Not bad for a plonker. Or not bad for a plum, I should say. That's my usual saying. Right, let's go and have a look at that on the car and see how it fits. Right, after a slight little bit of fettling, just a little bit of grinding on the edges, cleaning them up and make them sort of a bit smoother and whatever else, that actually fits pretty well. I took a little notch out of that corner up there. It fits in there, and if you push it up to meet the floor, it all meets all right and all that sort of thing. The lip's nice, goes all the way along. Hang on, let me move that light before I shine it in your eyeballs. The lip's all the way along here is nice. Obviously this isn't level with this lower one because this is only the floor, so this actual lip is slightly shorter than all the others for some reason. That's how it was, so I've done it the same. At least I hope that's how it was. Obviously the outer or the inner sill panel will then come down over the top of this. I've got to cut a little corner out of this because that shouldn't have an overlap there. That should just run along that top edge there. So I've got to cut a little corner out of that, and I've also got to put a little extra square in there because I made it slightly too short, unfortunately. But it's nothing too major, so we can sort that out. So I think the next thing to do now is we're going to get all the edges cleaned up, make my little adjustments on these areas here, as I say, cut that bit off, put a little bit in there, and then we can actually start getting that piece tacked in. And then obviously that'll be in there then for good, hopefully, and then we can make up that new panel for that hole there, which I'm going to copy this one. That should fit in there, something like that, hopefully, once I've made the new one up. And obviously I'll cut that hole in it so it's the same. There's a little plastic bung somewhere around here, there it is, which goes in there. So I haven't got to do it, but I'm going to do it because obviously then it's original, isn't it? So, as it can be anyway. So yeah, it's going all right. I think that considering that panel was fairly complex as far as the shape and getting it to fit right, it ain't fitted too bad, so I'm quite pleased with that. That's pretty good going for a wally like me. So I'm going to carry on as I said, and when I've got a little bit more progress I'll come back to you again. Right, there is that second bit of panel made. Now it's just resting in there at the moment, as you can probably see. It's going to need a little bit of fettling. Once it's sort of tacked in certain places, I can then tap it around a little bit, get it banging to the right shape, and then obviously we can get it all welded in proper. But I'm pretty pleased with that. I've got to cut that hole out for the plastic cap to go in, this plastic cap here. I'll probably do that before I put it in, just so that it's not got any spark or minimal sparks inside the car cutting and whatever else. So I'll get that cut out now. And then I think I'm going to clean up all the edges as I said before, and perhaps start looking at getting a few of these bits tacked in and tapped around so we can obviously get it all into shape. But I'm pretty pleased with how it's going so far, not too bad at all. Top banana. Right, I have made some progress. As you can see, I've got this tacked in. Now I didn't do this on camera because I must have had this panel in and out about 20 times or more, just fettling it and grinding the edges of it and just making sure I could make it fit as best as I possibly could. And as you can see, I've got the second panel in there now as well, with the hole cut in it. The hole is a little bit skew with, but the plastic thing does fit in there, so that's all we need to worry about. This at the moment is sitting slightly proud. This uplift is sitting slightly proud of this flat piece of panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just bend it over very slightly, and I'm going to actually weld it from underneath. That way I can then just grind along this top edge until it's flat with the surface, and then obviously that will all match up nicely then, and it should be absolutely marvellous. So it's coming back together slowly but surely. I've got a partial floor back in again now, which is trying to show it best without these wires in the way, but it's a bit difficult to show you. I've added a bit on the end there, as you can see. Not particularly pretty welding on that bit because it's for some reason, but there we go. So yeah, it's taking shape. Thank goodness for that. I was a bit worried at one point that I was going to end up with a Flintstone car. Right then, that is going to be it for this episode on MEC-TEC. Unfortunately, I've run out of time and I need to get this video out and edited for you on Friday. It's currently Friday already, and I need to get it edited in about an hour to get it out for you tonight. So I need to obviously stop there, unfortunately. I'm really pleased with the way it's coming out so far. I always like it to be better. I'm not, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, as you probably can tell, but hopefully once it's all welded in, it'll all look really, really good. Well, you won't see it, it'll be covered in carpet inside and sealer and paint and everything underneath. But you know, I'd like to start to get it as best as I can and get it to as original as I can as well. So I'm doing my best. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So I'm pretty pleased. So yeah, anyway, I'm waffling. If you do like projects like this, make sure you do 4 things for me: like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. It's all free. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it really, really helps me out on the channel. And I do really appreciate it if you could do that for me. That would be absolutely superb. Remember, I've got Instagram, MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook, MEC-TEC, for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. Hopefully in the next episode on this, we'll get that all welded in all the way around, and then we can start making that inner seal piece that needs to go in there. I'll cut out first of all, if that makes sense, because obviously now I've got to build it back out again in layers. So yeah, that is going to be hopefully in the next episode. I'm going to carry on probably with this over the weekend into next week, and hopefully get you another video for next Friday. I've basically spent the whole week doing what you've seen in this video, cutting all that out and obviously welding those new bits, or tacking those new bits in I should say. So it has been very time consuming, and I had to obviously fit it around work and everything else, which is why I've not done mega amounts, but it is all progress at the end of the day, so that is absolutely superb. Anyway, I really am waffling now. If you do want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I will see you again next time. Cheers guys.